Hare Krishna. Today we are going to study the verse number 29 of chapter number 4. Before we start today's verse, let us quickly revise the previous verses. In the previous verse, Krishna explained about Dravya Yagya, Tapo Yagya, Yoga Yagya, and Swadhyaya Yagya. And prior to it, Krishna explained about Yagya performed by the Brahmacharis, who completely surrender their mind to their spiritual master. And then the Yagya, which is performed by the Grihasthas, in which they have the permission for sense enjoyment, but in a regulated manner. So the Grihasthas sacrifice the sense enjoyment in the fire of controlled senses. After getting to know about various yagya sacrifices, a question arises in our mind that why Krishna explained about so many varieties of fire sacrifices. So the answer is this, that all human beings have different thinking process and are in different stages of life, and the main aim of human life is to achieve God realization and self realization. And to achieve this goal, there are only two paths. The first way is Bhakti Yoga, and that is by becoming Krishna conscious and doing everything only for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality. And the second path is by Karma Yoga. Now, to take the Bhakti Yoga, it needs unflinching faith and loving devotional service attitude to serve Krishna. And it is not possible that everyone will be of this mentality. So the people who haven't still developed their love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Krishna, they opt the Karma Yoga. In chapter number 3, verse number 9, Krishna has taught us the right way to do the prescribed karma. Yagyarth karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangah samachara. Krishna says that the work should be done as a sacrifice for Vishnu. Sacrifice means yagya. Otherwise, the work binds one to this material world. Krishna says, O son of Kunti, perform your work, your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, that is for the satisfaction of Vishnu. And in this way, you will always remain unattached and free from all kinds of material bondage. After explaining to Arjun that how the work should be done in the mode of yagya for the happiness, for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality, then Krishna in the chapter number 4, Shloka number 24 is saying, Brahmarparam Brahma Haver Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam Brahmev ten gantavyam Brahma karma samadhina. Krishna says, a person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities. This person does everything for the pleasure of Krishna, and his all work is like yagya, where the fire is Vishnu, and whatever he offers, he fully knows that everything belongs to Krishna. So whatever offers, that is also spiritual nature, and to which he is offering, that is the fire of the yagya service, that is also Vishnu. So in this way, a totally Krishna conscious person is to attain spiritual kingdom. Now it's very clear to all of us that the topmost yajna sacrifice is done by the Krishna conscious person. But the people who still have not reached to the level of becoming Krishna conscious, for them the karma marg is recommended, in which all varieties are mentioned like dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yog yajna and swadhyaya yajna. And about all these yajna we have studied in the previous verse. And in today's verse, Krishna is again going to explain to us Yog Yajna in great details. Now let us first recite verse number 29 of the 4th chapter of Bhagwat Gita as it is. Apane juhvati pranam prane apanam tatha pare प्राणापान गति रुद्ध्वा प्राणायाम परायणाः अपरे नियत आहाराः प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्वति अपाने जुह्वति प्राणं प्राणे अपानं तथा परे प्राणापान गति रुद्ध्वा प्राणायाम परायणाः अपरे नियत आहाराः प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्वति. Apane, air which acts downward. Juhvati, offers. Pranam, air which acts outward. Prane, in the air going outward. Apanam, air going downward. Tatha, as also. Apare, others. Prana, air going outward. Apane, air going downward. Gati, movement. Ruddhva, checking. Pranayam, trance induced by stopping all breathing. Parayanaha, so inclined. Apare, others. Niyat, controlled. Ahar, eating. Pranam, pranan, outgoing air. Praneshu, in the outgoing air. Juhvati, sacrifices. Now Krishna is going to explain to us about the Yog Yajna, where the life air is controlled and the optimum meditation in the Supreme Brahman is done. Krishna says, there are even other people who are inclined to this process of breath restraint. Why Krishna is saying so? Because before this, Krishna has explained about all the 4 kinds of yajna. That is, tapo yajna, yog yajna, and dravya yajna, and adhyatma yajna. Now Krishna is going to explain to us about Yog Yajna in detail. So Krishna is saying that there are others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint. Breath restraint means controlling the breath, to remain in trance, and they practice stopping the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Some of them, they curtail the eating process and they offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. Now this is seeming little difficult to understand, but let us read Srila Prabhupada's purport and then we will properly understand. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavo ki jai. Srila Prabhupada says that this system of yoga for controlling the breathing process is called pranayama. And in the beginning, it is practiced in the Hatha Yoga or Ashtang Yoga through the 8 steps of Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and finally reaching to the topmost level of Samadhi. Srila Prabhupada says that every yoga is meant to reach us to the level of spiritual realization. In Hatha Yoga, this is achieved by controlling the 10 kinds of life air within the body. The Apan air goes downward and the Pran air goes upward. When the air is exhaled, it is Pran. The air which is inhaled is called Apan. And the practitioner of this yoga practices by controlling the air within the body to enable simultaneous passage in opposite directions, that is, in upward and in downward direction. The pranayam yogi practices breathing the opposite way until the life air are neutralized. When the inhaled air, that is apan, is offered to the exhaled air, that is to pran, it is called purak. Similarly, when the exhaled breathing is offered to inhaled breathing, it is called rechak yoga. And when both air currents, that is pran and apan, are completely stopped, it is called Kumbhak Yoga. Srila Prabhupada says that by the practice of Kumbhak, the yogis increase the duration of life by many, many years. Srila Prabhupada says that all of this have been allotted a certain number of breath. And when the art of stopping both the air, that is pran and apan, is learned, then the yogi increases his lifespan. Now, there are some other yogis who eat very less to control their senses. They think that by eating very less or by eating nothing, the senses will become so weak that they will not be in a position to get attracted to any sense objects. We all have experienced it when we are unwell and physically weak. We don't desire to look at anything, no matter how attractive it might be. So the whole concept of the Hatha yogis is to control the senses either by controlling the life air within the body or by making the senses so weak that they cannot be attracted towards anything. And all these practices are only for spiritual advancement. Srila Prabhupada says that the result which is achieved by the Hatha yogis by practicing such difficult yoga system of controlling the different kinds of air within the body is very easily achieved by a Krishna conscious devotee. A Krishna conscious person does not control his senses. Rather, he engages all his senses in the service of Rishikesh, who is the master of all senses. Krishna is called Rishikesh because Rishik means senses, and he is the ultimate controller of everyone's senses in the 84 lakhs of species. We believe that it's me who is talking, seeing, thinking, tasting, smelling, and doing all sorts of work. But actually, it is only Krishna who is making us do everything by being seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. Since a Krishna conscious person has the full knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he is part and parcel of Krishna, and being Krishna's part, it is his duty to serve Krishna, so he most lovingly engages all his senses in the service of Krishna. With his eyes, he sees Krishna everywhere, and Krishna is seated in the heart of everyone. And then he engages his ears only to listen to Krishna Katha and Kirtan. And he uses his tongue to only speak about Krishna and for tasting Krishna Prasadam. And by doing this, he is always engaged in the loving service of Krishna. and all his senses are always satisfied and controlled automatically, because when Krishna is happy with his service, then he, being a part of Krishna, naturally becomes happy and satisfied. It is just the same as by watering the root of the tree makes the entire tree green and healthy. And when the stomach is happy, then the entire body is happy and healthy. Now, I am very sure that we all have understood very clearly that the main aim of each one of us is God realization. And it can be achieved by Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga. In Karma Yoga, there are many kinds of yajna like Dravya Yajna, Tapo Yajna, Yoga Yajna, and Swadhyaya Yajna. And in today's verse, we have come to know about Hatha Yoga in great details. And we all have come to know that the practice of controlling the life air in the body and passing it in different directions and then stopping both pran and apan air in the chest is not at all easy for us, though this practice is done very well by the yogis of Hatha Yoga, and after many years of practice, they are able to be perfect in controlling the life air, that is to restrict the senses. They are able to control the life air and are able to restrict their senses. The process in Hatha Yoga is to control the life air, and by controlling the life air, they control the senses, and with the controlled senses, they try to connect with Paramatma. And the process of a Krishna conscious person is not to control the senses, but to engage all the senses full time in the service of Krishna. And by this, he very easily attains the transcendental position. A Krishna conscious person knows that the senses are attracted to the sense objects because of the presence of life air, that is pran. And pran is active because of the presence of Atma. And Atma is the part of Krishna. And Krishna is seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma, who is actually making us do everything and watching us do everything, as he is the supreme Anumanta and Upadrishta. Anumanta means permitter and Upadrishta means watcher. So a Krishna conscious person neither controls his senses nor starves his senses by the difficult process of Hatha Yoga. Rather, he only engages all his senses in the service of Rishikesh or Mukund. Thus, he gets liberated very easily from the entanglement of the repeated birth and death. We must realize that Krishna first explained to us about the topmost yajna, which is performed by a Krishna conscious person who does everything only to make Krishna happy. But all the humans cannot reach to this highest level of Krishna consciousness. So for them, the other varieties of yajna is recommended so that they may also perform yajna and make a gradual progress to reach to the level of Krishna consciousness, which is the sole aim of human life. I bow down to Srila Prabhupada and my Shiksha Guru, His Grace Hari Mohan Prabhuji, for making us understand the topmost and the most secretive knowledge of Bhagwat Gita in such an easy manner. I thank each one of you for listening to the Bhagavad Gita shlokas so attentively. I request you to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, as this is the only process which has been prescribed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself in the form of his devotee. Harirnam, Harirnam, Harirnam eva kevalam. Kalau nastiva, 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 gatir anyatha. There is no other way to approach God in Kali Yuga than to chant the Maha Mantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now we shall meet the next week with a new verse. Till then, keep chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and be happy. Please do write your comments and share the video with others. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.